Welcome to week one, everybody. But we still got some preseason, draft prep to talk about here. We'll give you some fantasy superlatives, MVP, rookie of the year, comeback player of the year, biggest bust. We'll make our predictions for the 2021 fantasy football season. If you're still drafting, we have news for you. And if you're not drafting, we have news for you that will be relevant. And looking forward to getting this season started already. I'm Adam Azer with Chris Towers, with Dave Richard, and with Jamie Eisenberg. Fellas, I am going to ask you about some of your, preseason risers in the sense that you've done most of your drafts now. And I don't know if you found yourself kind of taking the same players, like maybe it was Marquez Callaway or Damian Harris or something like that. I'll ask you about that. But first, I want to start with your fantasy MVP. I'm going to go alphabetical here. I'm going to go with Chris. Alphabetical order. Chris, you can start us off. Who's your fantasy MVP with your 2021 preseason prediction here?
I'm going to go with Joe Mixon. Certainly, if Joe Mixon has a great season, he's going to be the fantasy MVP for me because of how many leagues I have him in. So that's going to be my pick. I think this is finally the year we see that big Joe Mixon season people have been waiting for.
Okay, Joe Mixon. I like it. Dave, you are next in the alphabet.
The fantasy MVP will be TJ Hawkinson.
Oh.
Tight end of the Detroit Lions, the lowly Lions. This will be their Super Bowl, is TJ Hawkinson having a big year. It's not going to help them win games. Well, maybe it'll help them win a couple. But I think fantasy owners that take him are going to be real happy with the results at the end of the year.
Jamie, you are next.
I'm going to go with the same guy I gave for the fantasy footballer, so I'll be consistent on the two best podcasts in the world. Myles Gaskin is the fantasy MVP. So I think Gaskin is going to have a monster season. I'm glad that Brian Flores gave us that scare in week one, just because drove down the price a little bit with Malcolm Brown, week one of the preseason, with Malcolm Brown getting all that work. So Myles Gaskin's going to have a monster campaign building off what he did last year.
Who is the player that benefited the most from the price being lowered due to injury or something like that? If it's not Gaskin,
Might be Dak Prescott.
It's going to be Jamar Chase.
I think there's going to be a handful of receivers because we saw, if they're healthy and they're right, we saw Mike Williams fall, we saw Curtis Samuel fall, we saw Marquise Brown fall, we saw all these guys basically become free on draft day. So all those guys, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. DeAndre Swift on the higher end?
Potentially.
Yeah,
if you still believe in him, yeah, potentially.
Does anyone still believe in him?
Yeah, I do.
What was that? Okay.
So no.
Took me a second to get that, but yes, he still does believe in him. I'll get my my assortment of what do you want? Heath side 1, 2, 3, 4, or compilation?
What's the one that sounds like he's really excited, if you know what I mean?
Let's try this one. How's that?
That's the one.
It's a good one.
I just did a face. Sorry, everybody. All right, good stuff. So those are our fantasy MVPs. I asked you on Twitter who your fantasy MVP. All the superlatives are given today, so I'll read some of those a little bit later. Ben Schrager, his flight was delayed. He usually tells me what to promote, but he didn't tell me what to promote today. So if you guys, I'm going to let you all promote one thing. Chris, promote your newsletter.
Fantasy Football Today newsletter. Subscribe, cbssports.com/newsletters. It's going to be in your inbox. I don't know, every morning. So make sure you subscribe.
Chris,
Bad
a
time to freeze.
little bit of trouble with your internet connection.
You can find it.
Perfect timing.
CBS letter, and you'll be able to find it. I don't know if you're on Wi-Fi, maybe you could switch over there. Jamie, promote HQ.
We are live Labor Day, Monday, CBS Sports HQ. But we're there every day at noon to help you dominate your fantasy leagues. And starting Sunday, a week from today, or I guess it'll be 6 days from today when you're hearing this. But Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern is the best pregame fantasy show, and probably the best pregame gambling show, and probably the best pregame anything show that you'll find. 10 a.m. Eastern, CBS Sports HQ.
Are you better than Inside the NBA?
Pregame NFL show. But yes, we are better than
we can name all the players.
NBA. Thanks, Adam, for supporting your teammates.
You can name all the players. That's good.
Yeah, we can correctly identify which players all the guys play for. So we got that going on for us.
That is a bonus.
And Pete Prisco is probably just as entertaining as Charles Barkley, just not as well known.
Pete Briscoe is up there.
Mhm.
Is very funny. Dave,
He's making his return to HQ for FFT on Wednesday when he challenges Heath Cummings for name that player.
does Heath ever win that?
Does
Heath wins
Heath
it all the
ever
time.
win that?
Heath always wins.
Yeah,
Oh
thanks for
my
watching.
gosh.
Wait, no,
Adam, no, Adam,
Oh,
no,
no,
you
I was.
didn't just
It
say
was Price is Right. It was Price is Right that I was watching. That Dave.
Yeah,
won.
Heath got screwed out of ADP prices, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
Do
All right,
a
Dave,
producer decision.
promote your trade chart.
The preseason trade chart, I don't know if it's out yet, but it will be soon. It will help you in case you did your draft and you go, oh crap, my team sucks. It'll help you make deals to improve your team and make it better. I'd also like to promote my mother, Sarah Lynn Richard, fantastic mystery author. You can go to palmcirclepress.com, order your own copy of A Murder of Principal. What happens when a new Maverick principal gets murdered in their new school? You're going to find out with A Murder of Principal. Only available at palmcirclepress.com and also on a site called Amazon.
Okay,
Well done.
great. Now let's go to some football news here. Jamison Crowder tested positive for COVID. Jamie, what's the fantasy impact here?
None for week 1, and probably none for a lot of fantasy drafts. I mean, hopefully he's okay, obviously, but I don't think anybody's really excited about Jamison Crowder, and may open a few more targets for Elijah Moore and Corey Davis, but maybe Denzel Mims as well, Tyler Kroft. Who knows? But he's got still a lot to prove before fantasy managers are interested in him.
Davis and Elijah Moore are good DFS plays this week. Zach Wilson might be a good DFS play too.
I had trouble.
What defense they're playing though?
They've got some weaknesses in there. Their front is pretty good.
They're great streaming. Great streaming
Yes,
defense.
they are great. They'll be really popular in DFS.
Sorry, I had trouble not putting Robbie Anderson in my DFS lineup because he got the revenge factor there. The Jets are
Yeah, everybody's
backing him with Darnold.
Everybody's going to do that stack, and they're going to do a Jaguar stack. Those are two stacks that are going to be really popular.
All right, Zach Martin is on the reserve COVID list. He's out for week 1.
That's a big story.
Now
Yes.
it's all-pro guard.
And Lyle Collins is banged up.
And yes, he practiced, though. He's looking like he's going to play. This is a Thursday night game at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's run defense, 2 years in a row, they've allowed the fewest fantasy points to running backs. When they had Vita Vea healthy last year, they gave up fewer than 3 yards per carry. The year before that, 3.05 yards per carry to running backs. So you're starting Zeke. Let's hope he's involved in the passing game. Let's hope he scores. But if he doesn't have a good game, I mean, they have done, like last year, Vita Vea faced Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, and those guys actually caught a lot of passes, but they didn't run well. So if Zeke doesn't do well, don't panic after week 1.
Trade for him.
Sure. Noah Fant is expected to play at the Giants. And speaking of that game, Dan Duggan of The Athletic expects Saquon Barkley to play week 1, but not to have a full workload.
Yay.
Hacksaw Dan Duggan.
Oh, not looking as good for Evan Ingram right now. He's got the calf injury. What do you make of this, Chris Towers? The Indianapolis coaches, according to The Athletic, want Nyheim Hines to have more touches this season. Chris, you there?
Every
Yeah.
I'm
That
having
news
some
is frozen
issues.
Chris in his tracks.
Mm-hmm.
It's really only happening when you're asking me to speak. It feels like there's something there.
I've been there, man. It's crazy.
If Chris was in The Incredibles, he'd be Frozone.
Ooh,
I feel like there are probably, you could probably find a story about every player you want with their coaches saying they want more touches. Given what we know about Jonathan Taylor and the workload he's likely to have, I would be surprised if Nyheim had more touches than he did last season. Especially with the
Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, he'd be in Batman and Robin as Mr. Freeze.
Hey, Jamie, chill out.
I think the Nyheim Hines story has a little to do with the receiving core situation that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
You want to get as many potential pass catchers on the field as you possibly can. And look, Paris Campbell's got a big opportunity in front of him. They bring in Kiki QT off Houston's, after Houston cut him on the practice squad. So we'll see what his role eventually is. But I would not be surprised if we see Nyheim Hines maybe playing a little bit in the slot for them.
If you were going to now rank Giovanni Bernard, Nyheim Hines, James White, Jerick McKinnon, how would you rank them?
James White 1, Geo 2, Hines 3. You mean J.D. McKissick, not Jerick McKinnon. Right?
Yeah. Did I say J.D. McKinnon or Jerick?
No, you said Jerick McKinnon. But
Yeah.
we think you're just making a mistake by suggesting that Jerick McKinnon should be on our roster.
No.
White,
J.D. McKissick.
Geo, McKissick, Hines still.
Flip it for me. I'll take Geo first. Geo, White, McKissick, Hines.
Yeah, there was some story that I don't know who wrote it that Mac Jones is just going to be fantastic for. I think it was maybe it was a radio show. Somebody had a Patriots beat writer on. I think that's why I saw somebody tweet it that they were saying James White's going to just have a monster season with Mac Jones.
Could see it. New Orleans tight end Juwan Johnson is apparently eligible at both tight end and wide receiver. So keep that in mind.
That's on our site.
On CBS, yeah.
I cannot say for sure about other sites, but we made him dual eligible.
And Jacksonville signed tight end Jacob Hollister. Does that matter to anybody?
Oh, yeah. No.
Okay. But
you made Chris freeze in his tracks.
Juwan Johnson, like if Juwan, it should we be paying more attention to him? I feel like nobody ever drafts him or cares about Juwan Johnson.
I watched him play. He's average, maybe a little better than average. He would need a lot of targets. He'd need to be used like Jared Cook to be like useful in fantasy.
I mean, it's also look, Troutman's coming back, so we'll see what his role is going to be too.
Okay. So Chris, I'll start with you. Let's hope. Nope, Chris left. Okay. See if we can get him back. He's back.
I'll be your Chris.
No, he's back. Chris is back.
Oh,
hey,
okay.
I'll start with you on this. As you did your drafts, who were the players that really grew on you this preseason that you ended up drafting a lot and maybe surprised you?
I don't think I'm going to be alone in this one, but Jerry Jeudy is definitely one of those guys. Just ended up drafting him a lot more than I thought I would early on. Jalen Waddle.
I like Jalen Waddle too.
I wasn't 100% sure. Yeah. Wasn't 100% sure what his role was going to be, but with training camp, I think it's worth taking a flyer on him.
So I know you like Will Fuller, but if you were going to take a Dolphins wide receiver now, who would it be?
Are you asking me?
It would still be Fuller first, but I like the upside of.
Okay, I think we might have to.
I feel like he's playing Mad Libs.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know.
It's like unbelievable.
My favorite Dolphins receiver
is.
But my least favorite Dolphins receiver is
noun. Proper noun.
Right. Chris is providing Mad Libs for us.
Dave, how about you? Any players that are on a lot of your teams that grew on you this preseason?
I was a really big fan of. And I also really started to not like. Okay. I'm done. Look, Jacoby Myers was somebody who I liked and thought he was good as a late round pick. And then I just watched him play and I saw how Mac Jones played and I got really, really pumped about him. And now like I've got him ranked as a top 85 player in PPR. Marquez Callaway, another guy that really stood out, really did grow on me. And I actually now legitimately believe that he's going to be a factor all year long in New Orleans offense. And I think I like Tyson Williams. I think I like the skill set. I think he's going to be able to contribute for Baltimore. And there would be a really big chance for him if Gus Edwards suddenly became less efficient or missed playing time.
How about you, Jamie?
Players I drafted a lot of. I actually went through all 20 in my league so far. And I did this because we're going to talk about this on HQ, the guys that we've drafted the most, myself, Dave, and Heath. So I can give you Heath if you like as well. I was surprised that in the 20 leagues so far, the player I took the most was Myers. I took him in 7 leagues so far. Deontay Johnson was next with 6. I was actually surprised how many times I took Kyler Murray. 5 times that I've drafted Kyler Murray. So, for usually, waiting on quarterback, I just felt the value for him was obviously good. Of the 20 leagues so far, 10 of them I have either Kelsey, Waller, or Andrews. So getting a tight end makes me feel a lot better. I took Michael Thomas in 5 of those leagues, 6 if you include one of the dynasty leagues. And then the running backs that I've taken the most of, Damian Harris, 5 of them, Myles Gaskin, 5 of them. Both Packers running backs, not necessarily in the same league, 4 times of A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. And Antonio Gibson 4 times. I've drafted him as well. So it was fun going through and looking at, the kind of the guys I've taken the most of. And I think I mentioned this to Heath at some point. I don't know if it was on the air or not, but I have really mostly drafted back half of the first round in almost every draft, which has been a little weird. So I have no exposure to Dalvin Cook or Alvin Kamara. I only have one league with McCaffrey because it's a dynasty league. So I have none of the top 3 guys. I picked 4th or lower in every draft. So I have Henry in one league, Zeke in one league. And again, this is 20 plus leagues. I still have 4 to go. I don't have the draft order yet in 2 of them. So maybe I'll get lucky and get, somebody in the top half, but have not drafted Dalvin Cook or Kamara in any leagues that I'm playing out.
That is really wild. 'Cause I think I've done 10 drafts and I've got 1 McCaffrey. I've got 3 Dalvin Cook. I've got 1 Kamara. That's half my leagues. I had a top 3 pick.
Yeah.
And that's lucky.
And it's funny because like I like Edwards-Helaire, and I went through and I don't have any leagues with him in it. I did a lot of mocks with him in it, but I don't have any. Like I was looking at how many of the top 15 running backs that I have, and I don't have any with Edwards-Helaire or those other 2 guys. Every other league I have at least one of the other guys. And the receivers that I don't have at the top, I don't have any Ridley and I don't have any DK Metcalf, which makes me mad that I don't have those 2 guys.
I'm not sure I have any Metcalf either, and he's one of my favorite players, and that does bum me out a little bit. I was surprised that I have very few of the top 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I got a lot of Brady and a lot of Jalen Hurts.
I have a lot of, besides Kyler, it's Tannehill is my second guy that I have a lot of.
Just so everybody knows, Heath and I took Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson with our first 2 picks in the Superflex League, in the 10-team Superflex League. So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was
like
fun. We're like, let's have some fun with it here. We had the 7th pick at a
How
10.
did the rest of that team turn out?
I can look it up for you. Chris.
You guys got Mixon. I know he was happy about that.
Yeah, we got Mark Andrews. We got Mixon. I don't love our wide receivers. It's a solid team, I guess.
Heath's 5 guys that he said he's drafted the most: Patrick Mahomes, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, and Tyler Lockett. I found it interesting that he's taking both Lions running backs.
Yeah.
He's got both of them as breakouts.
Did anybody find themselves deviating from your rankings? And I'll give you an example. Look, you could criticize me for this if you want, because I'm supposed to be kind of a fantasy host the list or whatever, but I took Russell Wilson over Dak Prescott. I would always tell you to take Dak over Wilson, but
he does that though.
I love Russell Wilson.
No, he doesn't. I'm sorry.
He's just one of my favorite players, and I wanted to take him. But one that I really, if I did rankings, I think I would probably change, and maybe this is nuts, but I took Marquez Callaway over Brandon Cooks. And I was like, you know what? Like, let's just go for it. I've got this feeling. Dave's got me.
I've got big Callaway vibes.
There's a limited upside there with Cooks. There's a limited upside season long for Callaway for sure. But if he's got big upside for 6 games, I'll take that. Maybe it's only 5 games they have to buy. But like Chris,
it could be good long term. You never know.
You could. Did you find yourself, Chris, doing any of that, deviating from your rankings, and going, maybe I have to reconsider here?
Yeah, there are definitely things that I rank based on like projections, especially if I'm going off of that, where no, that's just I'm playing with you guys.
I fell for it.
So like I have Melvin Gordon ranked projected slightly higher than Javonte Williams. Obviously, I'm much more likely to take Javonte Williams. He's actually Javonte's another guy that as things went on, I started drafting more and more of him. And so, yeah, and also we play in so many leagues that like you're not always going to draft exactly by the same order every time, because sometimes you just realize I don't have DK Metcalf in a league yet. I don't have Kyle. There are certainly times when I reached for Kyle Pitts because I view him like I viewed Vladimir Guerrero Jr. coming into the baseball season, where like the most likely outcome is he probably isn't a great value, but if he hits, he's going to be a massive, massive part of winning fantasy championships. And so if I'm playing 10 leagues, I want him in 1 or 2 at least.
Okay, you guys want to hear the Superflex team? Here we go.
Okay.
Got to come up with a new team name because it's still Run for Miles for Miles Sanders last year. Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson. It's 10-team half PPR. Joe Mixon, Chase Edmonds, A.J. Brown, Amari Cooper, Mark Andrews, and our flexes are Juju Smith-Schuster and Jamar Chase. We also have Daniel
really
Jones.
nice.
We have Daniel Jones. That's huge.
Oh,
We have Jalen Waddle, Michael Carter, Ronald Jones, and most importantly, oh man. Okay, last segment here before we get into the superlatives. Jamie, I'm a little pissed at you because you did something that I should have been doing, and everybody should be doing this, but you've been the king of it. You've made a lot of transactions because of IR spots.
Mm-hmm.
Picked up players that aren't on IR because you're going to move players you drafted into IR, or you've picked up players that are on IR, because why not? So tell me what you've been doing. So everybody pay attention and do this tonight.
I went through, and obviously our leagues, I think, are a little bit deeper than most, but I went through, and the 3 players that I look for in every league were Jeff Wilson, Tariq Cohen, and Rashad Bateman, where he was available. He was the least available of that trio, but the other 2 guys were readily available, and I would probably do it with T.Y. Hilton if he was available too, but I don't think that's going to happen as of now because he was drafted in so many leagues. But in any event, any of these players that are on short-term IR, see what happens. See what the next few weeks hold for them. I mean, Tariq Cohen and PPR still be in that same conversation as you asked, James White and Giovanni Bernard and those guys, for sure. Jeff Wilson, by the time he's back, who knows what the 49ers backfield looks like, and he helped a lot of people win fantasy championships last year. And then, Bateman is still going to be a big part of that Ravens passing attack when he's healthy. So I would do it in deeper leagues. If I really was looking at it, Darrington Evans now, what happens if Derrick Henry gets hurt in the first 3 weeks and Evans comes back from his knee situation? He's on short-term IR, and he's the lead guy for the Titans. There's so many guys out there that are on this, not so many guys, but there's enough guys on there that are in this situation that if you have IR spots, take advantage of it. You're not cheating. These guys are legitimately hurt. They're legitimately guys you could stash. Dave, I have one question for you because it's in one of the leagues you commission, our salary cap league. You guys on the PUP can't be placed in IR spots?
I don't know. Is that a setting that I can make? It should be fair. It should be fair that PUP guys can go. Yeah,
it should be open to all of them. I can't stash Tariq and then.
Yeah, I had that issue in one of my leagues.
It might have been the salary cap draft. So yeah, I'll fix that for you.
Yeah.
Okay,
I didn't even ask you on there, but it just came up.
Yeah, no, I think the way that setting works,
every commissioner should look at something like that.
Yeah.
I totally love what you're doing, Jamie. I've done it in a bunch of my leagues as well.
What were you saying, Chris?
No, I think the way that setting works, I had this issue in one of my leagues in a CBS league, is like if you have it checked, only players on IR can go in injured spots, then PUP and NFI players can't go on there, which
Let's see if I can do it right now.
Very frustrating.
Okay, so then if you uncheck that,
any injured player can go in.
You're gonna have to look at your teams.
I made a rule, and if anyone puts a non-IR player in their IR spot, their entire season is forfeited. I'm not messing around. No shenanigans with this.
Okay.
My league always has people trying to get around the rules.
Okay.
Well, you're going to freeze them out of their leagues?
100%. I've warned them already. I am not putting up with any BS this season.
He's unplugging them all.
I'm calling Igor Mello out.
Wow.
He's always trying something.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Always trying something.
Go out. That'll be his new team name. All right, listen. So just keep that in mind. If you're in a CBS league and you turn that setting off, that only players are on IR can go in an IR spot. That means anybody can be in an IR spot, and you have to police your league. You have to be on the honor system here. You have to always keep an eye on it. Make sure people aren't taking advantage of that. Sometimes people don't even realize they do it. They don't do it on purpose. They might have a player come off IR and they forget to bring him off.
Yeah, and I'll give you a perfect example of that, Adam, because Heath is the commissioner of our Dynasty League, and he's been trying to police everybody. And I had Ryan Tannehill on the IR spot because he's on the COVID list, and now he's off, and now I have to make an ad drop before this week. So I have to adjust my lineup, but I'm aware of it. But I think people should need to be aware. It is funny, though, with the league that we were talking about with Dave, because I went and looked. I'm like, oh, is nobody allowed to be on IR? Like, did Dave not have IR spots? And so I looked at the roster grid, and the first player I saw that had somebody with an I next to it was Dave's roster. And I was like, what the hell?
Peter. All right. Oh, well, mystery solved. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're giving out our superlatives for 2021, and we're reading yours as well. We'll be right back. Let's start with the Fantasy Rookie of the Year. Can I take Najee Harris out of that? Can we?
Yeah.
All right. Other than Najee Harris, Chris, I'm going to talk very slowly to help your internet get ready for this. Who is your Rookie of the Year?
I think it's got to be Jamar Chase if it's not Najee Harris. I know training camp and preseason didn't quite go as we hoped it would, but he's still, I think the most talented pass catcher in this class. I think he's still, given that none of the other running backs are slated for a huge role in week one, I think Jamar Chase is the guy who has the best potential for that. Odell Beckham, Justin Jefferson, gigantic rookie season. Even if those two guys, you might have to wait a little while for it.
Okay. Jamie?
Well, first, if any of those quarterbacks hit, it's going to be a runaway, out of Lawrence, Fields, or Lance, because they could have a Justin Herbert type season. But I'm going to go Kyle Pitts, because if he hits at the tight end position, being the position that it is, I mean, that's going to be a huge difference maker for fantasy managers. Like Chris said, if he has that unicorn type of season, he has that breakout season that we're all hoping to see. I know I've been down on Pitts based on his price tag on draft day, but my gosh, if you knew what you were getting and he ends up being that type of player, you'd be drafting him in the second round in the same conversation with Waller and Kittle. So I think, Pitts, if he hits, is going to be the fantasy rookie of the year, probably the NFL rookie of the year. It could just be, a record-breaking performance for what he's capable of doing.
Kyle hits. Dave?
Just to be different, I'll say Devontae Smith, taking the Heisman Trophy winner, taking the Biletnikoff Award winner, taking the best receiver in college football last year, who's on a team in Philadelphia that is probably going to end up throwing the ball a decent amount. He should be their top target getter. We saw I agree with the Chase call. I think Jamar Chase could be it. And I agree also, like, Trevor Lawrence is probably going to be the actual rookie of the year. And if he's good for fantasy, then yeah, he'll probably be up there as rookie of the year for fantasy. But man, Devontae Smith could be one of those excellent picks that people are taking in round 7 or 8. They're not necessarily going to start him to begin the year, although I do like the matchup against Atlanta. And he ends up evolving into a number 2 receiver.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about this class and the opportunities that they have. Waddle could be the number 1 receiver in Miami by a runaway. Javonte Williams could be the best running back in Denver. It could be awesome. Obviously excluding Najee Harris. It'd be nice to see Trey Sermon and Michael Carter be the lead rushers in their teams too. There's a lot of opportunities for this class to be successful.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of those guys are being drafted within 4 or 5 rounds of each other, right? I mean, Pitts, Javonte Williams, Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith.
And that's not even
Jalen Waddle
talking about
after
the
that.
rookie wide receivers going late in fantasy drafts who all have, like, Terrace Marshall's got a big role, Elijah Moore, Rondale Moore, these guys who we all, we expect will be big parts of their offenses. And it's a very talented receiving class, especially.
Yep.
The receiver rankings could really look a lot different in a couple of years with the talent in the 2020 and 2021 drafts.
Yeah.
Hopefully we got a bunch of breakouts there. All right. Fantasy comeback player of the year. Dave, you can start. Fantasy comeback player of the year.
Can it be anybody else other than Dak Prescott?
Yeah.
Yeah. McCaffrey.
Yeah. McCaffrey.
Yeah. Okay, fine. There's 2. McCaffrey would probably be the better one, but I'd look at Dak Prescott and I think he's got a golden opportunity to keep doing what he did last year. Maybe not to the same type of volume, but certainly putting up plenty of fantasy points for people.
Any other suggestions, guys?
I hope it's Saquon. I mean, look, we're expecting McCaffrey to be awesome. Dak, we're expecting to be awesome. Barkley's the one that everybody's freaking out about, understandably so.
McCaffrey almost feels like he doesn't count because he was so good when we did actually see him that there's almost no. What's that?
It's funny you mentioned that because I spoke to him on Friday. He was on HQ, and coming out of the conversation, we showed the odds on William Hill and the Caesar Sportsbook of comeback player of the year. And so Dak, I think, is the odds-on favorite. This is NFL comeback player of the year. And McCaffrey and Barkley, I think, were pretty close. I know McCaffrey was plus 750. But yeah, it does feel like he's just, walking back into this magical situation because we've been drafting him first overall from a fantasy perspective. But it's not going to be easy, for him just to all of a sudden recreate exactly what he was. We're hoping for it. We're expecting it. But it's not, anything easy. But Barkley's coming off just such a much tougher injury, and so the hope is that, he's by the middle to the end of the season, the old Saquon Barkley, and then we're all going to be sitting here going, remember when we should have drafted him in the first round? I'd like to be saying that.
By week 3. I hope it doesn't take that long.
Well, I'm talking about peak 2018 and 2019, that guy. Like if he's that guy again, that'd be great.
Yeah. I don't know if you can win comeback player of the year just for being horrible the previous season, but Ben Roethlisberger is a dark. I don't know if there are any odds for him, but he could come back from being pretty.
There's no way.
Carson Wentz.
Wentz could be a good one.
Yeah.
Hey, would you guys be interested in hearing how the first round of a draft that I'm in right now went? Because there's somebody missing who didn't get picked that might.
Wait, I'm going to guess.
Make your eyes pop.
Zeke.
McCaffrey first.
Wait, what's the scoring and
full PPR plus a quarter point per first down? Cook is second. Kamara third, Zeke fourth, Devontae Adams fifth, Henry sixth, Aaron Jones seventh. Nope, Aaron Jones went seventh. Eckler eighth, Jonathan Taylor ninth, Chubb 10th.
Devontae Adams.
No, he went fifth.
Adams was taken.
Saquon Barkley 11th, Tyreek Hill 12th.
Kelce.
No Travis Kelce in the first round, and you do have to start a tight end.
Who did you take over Kelsey?
I took Taylor.
That's a
Oh.
mistake.
No, it's not. Jonathan Taylor's going to be awesome.
He's not going to be better than Kelsey.
I'll find a tight end later. Look, if this whole league is going to treat tight ends this way, I'm going to get a great tight end in round 3.
You should have gotten a great tight end in round 2.
Should have got round 1.
My brother was doing a draft full PPR, and he got Kittle in round 4.
Yeah.
In fact, he called me, and he had his 3rd round pick, and I'm like, all right, tell me who's available. I was like, oh, take this guy. And I go, well, you know what? I should have asked you about the tight ends. He's like, George Kittle. I'm like, oh, we better not miss him in round 4. Luckily, he came back to round
How about
4.
I helped my 12-year-old cousin draft his team against his friends tonight? And
That seems unfair.
we get to the 3rd round, and he's like, I was just giving him, names. And he, so his first, Dalvin Cook falls to 5. He gets, I told him to take Waller in round 2. And then he gets to round 3, and he's telling me the receivers. I'm like, God, it's crazy that all these receivers off the board. We didn't get to like the 5th round until we realized he literally told me it was a 14-team league.
That helped. That's good to know.
Yeah, but he did a good job.
All right, fantasy biggest bust.
I mean, this is where I would put Saquon. I think he's absolutely a candidate to be a huge bust this
I'm
year.
not asking for candidates, baby. I'm asking for who's going to be
In round 2, though, that's a big bust for him.
Well, if he doesn't, if he gives you,
But you were
less
saying
than
last week you're taking him
expectations.
15 through 18 overall.
Yeah. So even at that point, if he doesn't deliver 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns, something like that, I think you'll be a little disappointed.
But then why would you take him in that spot?
In the 2nd round?
Yeah,
I would take him in the 2nd round, but I would still be a little disappointed if that's all he gave me. If it was a year kind of like, I don't know, who had 1,207 last year? I can't even remember off the top of my head. It seems like it was 4 years ago. But like he gets banged up and the Giants stink, and it's just like a slog of a year where he's got like 5 or 6 good games, and everybody just kind of looks at him and goes, oh, he wasn't even worth a 2nd round pick. And the end of the year totals are what I'm saying. 17 games, 7 touchdowns. And he just doesn't deliver.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris, biggest bust.
I hate to say it because I'm such a fan of the player, but Miles Sanders. If the pass catching doesn't come back, I think the floor could fall out for him. I wrote about that in Friday's FFT newsletter. I think there's a real chance he's just loses a significant amount of value between this year and next year. And we're not talking about him as even a top 75 pick.
I offered George Maselli in our 2QB league. I offered him straight up my Josh Jacobs for his Miles Sanders. He turned it down. He then countered Miles Sanders and Cam Newton. Thanks, George. For Josh Jacobs and Jameis Winston.
So you obviously insulted him.
I mean, you remember I made that pick when I was doing a podcast, and I was like regretting immediately not taking Miles Sanders. But as I said on the mailbag show, I'm tired of this Miles slanders. People are slandering his name. He is going to surprise people.
I hope so.
I
think he's a really talented player, but it just, I don't know. It seems like he's got the yips.
Even if he doesn't catch the ball, like that doesn't really make him any different than Josh Jacobs. So I think if you get him in round 5,
round 5 is perfect.
Fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I've been, very much anti Miles Sanders, but like I took him in a draft last weekend as my 3rd running back. Like that's perfect. Like, you get him as a 2nd guy if you go heavy receiver, to start your team. If he falls to round 5 still, I think people still a little bit enamored with the name. Even round 4. I mean, look, it's all about cost. Anytime you get a player that's falling to the right price, it's just perfect.
Okay, who's the biggest bust for you, Jamie?
I'm not going to look at the ADP because I think that's, unfair for the way our site does ADP. But Aaron Rodgers is still the 5th quarterback off the board. And that just makes me a little bit, nerve wracking because I think we're going to see some regression to whatever extent. And if he's back to what he was prior to 2020, he was still a very good quarterback, but he's going still ahead of Russell Wilson and Dak Prescott. And I just can't understand that. Again, I don't know what the scope is because it's always hard to gauge quarterbacks when we look at ADP because, especially ours when it factors in 2 quarterback and Superflex. But if you tell me that this is realistically happening, that Aaron Rodgers is going ahead of Dak Prescott and Kyler Murray, ahead of Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson, I can't buy it.
I'm not sure if you guys read the article I sent you about the rules changes this year.
I skimmed it, but I didn't read the whole thing. Sorry.
Some interesting stuff. First of all, it was an ESPN article. Was a Q&A with John Parry, I think, one of the former officials who was like did replay stuff. And basically, there's a rule I wasn't aware of that you cannot block low. Offensive players cannot block low outside of the tight end box. So
Yeah, for screen passes.
yeah, so think about it. So the lineman can't take out a defensive back low or anything like that. But the official actually said this is an advantage to the offense because the defensive back also cannot go low. So he thinks this will help outside run games and screen passes, or specifically say like outside run games. But the other thing that I saw was that they are probably going to call more holding this year, offensive holding. And, you know, we had such inflated passing numbers last year. And I think a lot of that was because we had so few offensive holding calls. If that goes up, the mobile quarterbacks could have an even bigger edge against the pocket passers because passing numbers are going to come down. So it's just something to keep in mind when you start taking Aaron Rodgers over Dak. Not so much. I mean, Dak's not a huge rusher, but I mean, compared to Rodgers, he's probably 200 more rushing yards. So it's something to keep in mind. We'll see how it plays out. Shouldn't expect as many points as we had last year. Most points in a season in NFL history. Obviously, 17 games will change that, but per game. We have some tweets. Let's see. Let me get on Twitter. I asked everybody for your fantasy superlatives. Those 4 categories, which were MVP. And I think a lot of people said McCaffrey, by the way, for that. And I don't blame them. MVP, Rookie of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, and Biggest Bust. Okay, All Dade says Derrick Henry, MVP, Kyle Pitts, Rookie, Comeback Player of the Year, Gaskin. I don't know that I get that one.
Yeah, that's a little.
I mean, he missed 6 games, so I guess.
Okay, and maybe he's coming back from preseason week 2.
Yeah, coming back from being buried in week 1 of the preseason.
Right.
Yeah. And Saquon Barkley, Biggest Bust. Interesting.
See?
Let's see who shows up a lot.
Oh, he could definitely be the biggest bust, but you were saying take him around 2 in the middle of round 2.
So what's wrong with that? He can still be a big bust when you take him in the middle of round
But you're
2.
telling people to take him there, though.
Well, everybody else is saying to take him in late round 1, including you.
I'm not calling him a bust, though. You're telling people still to take him in the middle of round 2, and you're calling him a bust. I don't get that.
I put him so far in my rankings where I think I'm never getting him.
Oh, then
Because
say
I think
that.
in every league, someone will take him before then.
Right. Okay. Vincenzo, Fantasy MVP, Devontae Adams, Rookie of the Year, Elijah Moore.
Yeah, I like that.
Zach Wilson not getting enough respect. Nobody cares about him. Fantasy Comeback Player of the Year, Jameis Winston. That's not a bad call.
That's a great call.
Yeah.
Biggest Bust, DeAndre Swift.
I mean, McCaffrey is the call for Fantasy Comeback Player of the Year.
Yeah, probably. But, we want to be original. Jameis is a good original pick.
Well, that's why
Saquon could
like
also fit into that, by the way.
It's probably just that a lot of people just don't even think about Christian McCaffrey for this one. Because it wasn't like a serious season-ending type injury. It wasn't, it wasn't surgery. It wasn't anything like that. It was just kind of too poorly timed.
Play this week? Is McCaffrey going to play this week? It was annoying. That's what it was. Fantasy Biggest Bust, DeAndre Swift. And I don't know. At some point, I don't know if this happened to you guys. At some point, I was like, you know what? He's on the Lions. I don't know. How great could he be?
Yeah.
You just realize this now?
No, because I see every year there is a player who I like DeAndre Swift. If he falls to me in round 4, I have one more draft. If he falls to me in round 4, I'm all over it. But every year there's at least one running back who's on a terrible offense that finishes as a top 12 running back in PPR. The only thing you need to do is be involved in the passing game. And I guess I would say have a heavy workload with involvement in the passing game. It's not going to typically be like Giovanni Bernard, James White. So he fits that. But God, they're such a mess. And they're really going to use Jamal Williams enough? I don't know. I'm not sure he can get the work, and the touchdowns scare me, even though he had a lot of them last year. But I don't know why I'm saying all this, because I
there's risk
like Swift, but
I think there's risk with both Swift and Hawkinson disappointing in that offense. But I think they're both going to be so involved that like the floor is not going to drop out. Obviously with Swift, the injury could change that if the groin injury just lingers, but like I think he's going to get so many touches and so much passing game work that no matter what happens, even if he's not great, he's going to be pretty good. And I think the same is true of Hawkinson, even if that offense is a disaster. I think where I worry for both of them is just, can they hit the upside in that offense? That's my concern. It's not so much that the bottom's going to fall out.
That's a very good way of saying it. All right. Let's see. From From bada bing, bada boom. MVP is McCaffrey. Rookie of the year is Fields. Comeback player is Saquon. And here's a fun one. Biggest bust is Antonio Gibson.
I can see it.
That's
though.
not fun.
I can see it if the passing game's not there. Like if he's still only playing like 10, 15% of their third down snaps, I could definitely see it. I hope not. I'm not expecting it, but
I think
it's
they
within
gave
the
you
realm
good
of possibility.
They gave you a good little blueprint though about what they're going to do first and second down with him. So
Yeah.
He is going
to. I mean, he still had 5 targets on first and second down and like 30 something snaps. So there was still a pretty healthy usage.
Okay, let's see. From Mendel, MVP DeAndre Swift / James Robinson. Who do you guys like better?
Robinson.
I like
Robinson, but I don't think either one of them will be the fantasy MVP.
It would take a lot.
A lot.
Robinson was the MVP last year.
It's true. Rookie of the year, Kyle Pitts. Comeback player of the year, Carson Wentz. What a tough scenario for him. Loses T.Y. Hilton. Has basically no preseason. No preseason.
No left tackle.
No left tackle. Yeah, right. No left tackle. I don't know when Eric Fisher will be back, but for now, no left tackle. And it's valuable time not practicing. First the foot, then COVID. Tough spot for Carson Wentz. Biggest bust. George Kittle will finish top 7, but not top 3.
You called that too.
I'm less. I feel like Trey Lance is a long way from starting. But I also feel like him just being on the field and being in the mix is also not good for Kittle.
Yeah, I think it's bad for all the pass catchers there. Because anytime you see 2 quarterbacks taking over, like usually that leads to more running. How often do you see 2 quarterbacks work in tandem? First of all, you rarely see it. And then when you do, one of them is usually a good rusher. And this is already a team that doesn't throw the ball that much. So
especially the Gators where they both run.
For sure. And that would be terrible for Ayuk. When this looked like it was happening and I started to process it, I moved Ayuk down. And Kittle to me is like a late round 3 pick now.
Yeah, the thing for me is just anytime we've seen Kittle on the floor, no matter what, or on the field, no matter what permutation of other pass catchers, quarterbacks, whatever, he's always been a target hog. You know, even when Ayuk played last season, the 16-game pace when him and Kittle shared the field was like Kittle getting like 40 more targets over 16 games or something like that. So
for him to be the number 7 tight end, it's going to have to be Hawkinson and Andrews and Pitts all hitting.
Yeah.
And somebody else, obviously Logan Thomas or Fant or whoever you might want to say, or the fluke like we saw last year with Tunyon or Logan Thomas. You know, somebody's going to have to push him down without him getting hurt. I mean, obviously if he gets hurt, then it's a different story.
Yeah.
I'll read one more. From something Philly. Conchi Philly. I don't know. Christian McCaffrey MVP, Javonte Williams Rookie of the Year, Jameis Comeback Player of the Year, and Ezekiel Elliott biggest bust.
I mean, the news this weekend didn't help. You know, I mean, he starts off on a bad foot, and people are going to get panicked. But you know, it's hard not to see what the upside is with him.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what he looks like this year because I think he knows he did not run well enough last season. And it's really been 2 years in a row where the explosive plays are basically gone. So is he a guy who's just had so much work that we're starting to see him slow down? You know, because he had a ton of work. This is what, his 6th year? He's had so much work so far in his career. And he slimmed down. He's one of the biggest storylines for me. I have a lot of Zeke, actually, like 3 or 4 teams. And I want to see what he looks like. I want to see how he runs this year.
I want to see Zach Martin on the field for as many games as possible.
Yeah, look, Martin's going to miss.
We're 0 for 1 on that.
Yep.
So,
but if there is a game to miss, because he's probably going to struggle against the Bucs anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like let him go out and catch 6 or 7 passes. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're hoping on him, even if he's not a great rusher per carry. He's going to catch a lot of passes. That's what you're hoping for. And this is his 6th year, and he has
the amazing thing with his workload and how long he's been in the NFL is he's only 2.5 years older than Najee Harris.
Yeah, but he does have a heavy work.
Oh yeah, no, and workload might be, as if not more important when you're talking about when a running back might fall off in age.
And you want to make a nice wager. His over under on rushing yards is 1,100.5. I think he shatters that if he plays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
take the over.
He was
that.
on pace. Just to give you the last year's numbers, he was on pace over 17 games in the 5 he played with Dak to go for over 1,200. And this is still a 2-time rushing champion.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, look who the third quarterback off the board was in this draft that I'm in.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
See that? I don't get it. I don't get it.
38th overall.
Okay, from Mark.
I stand by my bus call.
Where's Mark from?
Omaha, Nebraska.
Dear Billy, Dick, Chavez, and Doc.
Those are holidays, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Billy Holiday, Doc Holiday. I think
Dick
Dick
Holiday.
Holiday's a thing. I don't know what Chavez Holiday is, but that's my guess.
Okay. Tight end premium league, deep dynasty. We have 3 taxi squad spots. Which of these 3 players would you place on your taxi squad? I have Kyle Pitts. So Alberto, James Washington, Amari Rogers, Juwan Johnson, Anthony Ferkser, OJ Howard, Larry Roundtree.
I think Ferkser is the first name that I would put.
Not a tight end premium. I keep him active. Alberto is easy.
He's up there, but I think Ferkser gets more work than Alberto.
Right. So you don't want to put him on your taxi squad. You want to keep him active.
Well, how did he say how the taxi squad worked?
No.
I'm assuming these guys are on his roster, right?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know. Yeah, kind of. Because he said, who would you place on taxi squad?
Right. So I'd want to have the opportunity to use Ferkser. I'm never playing Alberto unless Noah Fant gets hurt and all of a sudden the tight end position for Denver changes dramatically and they start leaning on him.
I think Dave would agree with that. You'd rather start Ferkser. So don't put okay. So Alberto, James Washington, you can put on your taxi squad.
Yep.
And then it's Amari Rogers, Juwan Johnson, OJ Howard, or Larry Roundtree.
I mean, it comes down to, Amari Rogers, what's he going to do when everybody's healthy?
Return punts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Craig from the home of Larry Holmes. I don't know.
Hollywood, California.
Sure. I have the
Holmes?
8th pick in a 10-team non-PPR league. My thoughts are Chubb and Najee, or some combo of 2 running backs. Or should I go a receiver like Diggs or another top 5 guy? What would you do with the 8th pick in a 10-team non-PPR league?
Chubb would be fantastic.
Are you going like running back, receiver? Remember,
Non-PPR, I'd love to go running back.
Yeah, 10 team non-PPR, I think running back.
From Revon, who I was going to sing Levon, but I don't think I should.
Please don't sing.
Yeah, I won't. Who to start week 1 at running back?
Who wants to sing?
Go get your cat. Go get your guitar. All right, who to start at week 1?
Shave a J in your chest.
Pick 2 running backs. Javonte Williams, Trey Sermon, Devin Singletary, Giovanni Bernard, Kenyon Drake, or Wayne Gallman.
What's the question?
Who does pick 2 running backs to start?
And I have to pick 2 of those.
Yeah, Javonte Williams, Trey Sermon, Singletary, Gio, Drake, and Gallman.
Sermon.
I'm taking the rookies.
Yeah, I think Williams and Sermon.
That's how I have it ranked. First time I've said that for a regular season question.
Woo! My gosh. If Javonte Williams has like 4 catches in week 1, I'm going to win all my leagues. It's going to be like, just like, oh my God, he's the passing downs guy. It's going to be great.
What if Melvin Gordon has 4 catches in week 1? You're going to
I'm going to lose all my leagues. Okay, good stuff, guys. Thank you for a very entertaining show. We are looking forward to getting week 1 underway, so we'll keep telling you some of our favorite stashes. We'll give you some potential buy lows. Yeah, even now, just players that you can look to trade, sell highs, those types of things. We are going to preview Thursday. We always preview Thursday Night Football on Wednesday. Then our Thursday show is the AFC home games. Our Friday show is the NFC home games. We also have a lot of live streams for you. We have a Tuesday night, a Thursday afternoon, and a Sunday morning live stream on our YouTube channel. I'll give all those details out later in the week. Thanks a lot to Jamie, Dave, and Chris. We'll talk to you tomorrow on Fantasy Football Today.